Welcome to the Allie's Attic Show, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is a songwriter, composer, singer, multi-instrumentalist, and producer that loves creating original music. And he's looking so dapper today. I love the hat, by the way. Please welcome Keith Shaw. Hello, Keith.
Hi, Allie. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. A little bit rainy today, a little cloudy, but who cares? It's Friday.
Exactly. It's Friday. That's all that matters. Here it is, well, I know you guys go by Fahrenheit. We go by Celsius. It's plus 40 here. So I don't know what that would be in Fahrenheit.
You are warm today.
Yes, very warm. I have my air going. Okay.
You're warmer than us. We're only at 25.
Oh, wow. And where are you?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, Philly. I don't know why that completely went out of my mind, but it did. Okay, so first off, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on my show. I know I had to reschedule a couple of times, and then we had to find dates that worked. I'm so glad I am finally doing this, and I have you in front of me, because I was like, oh my God, I want Keith on. I'm absolutely in love with your new music. I'm going to talk about one of the songs that I really love, but I want you to tell me your journey, Keith. Like, I know you took a break from music and you came back. I'm going to say thank you to whatever friends encouraged you to come back, because I'm so glad you did. So yeah, just tell me your story.
Yeah, I had actually started to teach myself guitar, and I didn't start like I was 8, 10 years old. I started later in life, a lot later in life than most people. But I started playing with just some local bands and so forth, and then life kind of catches up to you in your jobs and whatever, and I took a break, and I didn't play for about 10 years. And then at the beginning of 2014, a friend of mine, who I hadn't seen face-to-face in a while, but we saw each other through social media or email or sending each other little jokes or whatever, said, hey, I need to have a guitar on a project that I'm working on. Problem is he was down at the time in North Carolina. But this is when I kind of got this whole learning experience of how you can make music, and you don't even have to be in the same state or room or whatever with the people you're making music with.
Yeah.
So he got me involved, and I was already familiar with their first album because of their first album, The Harm's Way Project. The first album was called Titan Doors. And he said, we're working on this new album. It's called Everything Works If You Let It. We kind of got in an impasse. We need some fresh blood to kind of push us ahead so that we can complete this, because it's taking longer than he would like to. So, make a long story short, I got involved in this project. Now, I'm in Philadelphia area. The bassist is in North Pennsylvania. The drummer's in Belgium. The keyboard player's in Minnesota. The other guitar players in North Carolina. The singers in Indiana. We're
everywhere.
Four winds. But I learned a lot of stuff. What I did was I set up a studio. I set up a workstation. I learned how to use Studio One equipment by Personas. And next thing I knew, I was part of this kind of like virtual band.
Mm-hmm.
And we put together the album, and we released the album at the end of 2014, and it got nice reviews. It got great reviews, and people actually called me out personally in their little reviews and talked about my playing and stuff, and I was just like totally excited by it. And I hadn't started to really get into it yet. This was kind of like I was doing it, and I was doing it at the home studio that I set up, and I started to get more excited about it. Then I started thinking, well, where can I take this next? So I actually started to record a song that I used to play with a band. It was my song, it was original music and so forth. And I said, if I'm doing this with Ron and the other guys, I could make music on my own. So there's a song on my SoundCloud page called The Clock, and it's been there for a while, but it was a song that I wrote a long time ago. I said, I'll record this song because I've always wanted to kind of have a recorded copy of it. And you can go to the SoundCloud music page, and it's on there. And it turned out great. People started making comparisons and all this kind of stuff. So it gave me more and more motivation and more, just more energy and wanting to do this stuff. So then I started to play out a little bit and started to expand in that area. And I still never gave up on writing. But when I played with bands over the last couple of years, it was always cover music, or it might have been their original music.
Mm-hmm.
So for the past 12 months. Well, I did do a couple of things. we did the Harm's Way project. Actually, some of us got together. 4 of us out of the band got together. We played in Belgium at a convention thing. So that was kind of cool. And then recently, because 2 of the band members got married, with Ron and his wife, whose name happens to be Allie, they got married. A couple of us went down there and we played at their wedding, and we played some of the Harm's Way project songs, which was great. And I had a great time doing it. Even though it was all the way down in South Carolina, it was still awesome just getting together and performing those songs live.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was driving back in the car from South Carolina. I said, what am I doing next? And this is actually the beginning of October. And the week before I was in Canada, I was up in Halifax in Nova.
Oh.
So just so you know, I've been to Canada tons of times. Unfortunately, not to your area, but East Coast and West Coast, I've been to more times than I can remember. But this was for a holiday, and I came back, and I went to the wedding, and I'm driving back away from South Carolina. I'm sorry, and I'm thinking, like, what am I going to do next? I'm tired of playing covers and stuff. Even though now and then, for a special event like a theme night, like David Bowie night, Bob Dylan night, I'm all for that because I love performing those songs. But what am I going to do? I got stuff that I've written down in notebooks, backs of envelopes, pieces of paper. I said, you know what? It's time for me to kind of just concentrate on that. Nothing but that. Maybe once in a while I'll go out and play with a group of people or play as a solo person, like I said, for a theme night, special night, charity or whatever. So the first song I recorded was Cherry Red. And I actually wrote that. Now this is 2017. I actually wrote that in 2015.
Oh, wow.
And and the way that it came about, I get a lot of ideas at crazy times about songs or song ideas and from different things. I happen to be out jogging, and I just got this idea, and I'm seeing stuff about people that are just kind of just brainwashed. So Cherry Red was actually written about people like cults and just following the herd and all that stuff. So all the references in that song about cherry is red and purple is grape and all that stuff are like drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Like all of those, I don't want to say classic's not the right word, probably all of those tragic events where people drank some sort of liquid because they were part of a herd and then they just all went out of the world together. So I worked on that. I said, the first song, I had a list of songs, and that was the first one. That one kind of started to stick in my mind. I said, right now, even though I wrote that song 2 years before that, I probably changed 6 or 8 words in the whole song. I said it is perfect for the current times because there's just so many people that just follow the herd, just go along with whatever they see, hear, whatever. So references I made in there about purple is grape, cherry is red, or like things to Kool-Aid, people that drank Kool-Aid till their tries are the mind. Don't drink what they give you, don't eat what you're fed. Like, just don't take stuff at face value. Go out and kind of, cut your own path, and you don't have to listen to all that other stuff. So that song, I actually recorded that in about 3 weeks. And that's because I play all of the stuff. So all of the instruments you hear on my music are me playing them. So it's, like yesterday on a song that I'm working on now that I'm not going to get too far into at this point because I know we want to talk about the other stuff. Maybe we can double back on that. Mm-hmm. Like yesterday, I'm recording the bass lines. And with my music, anything that I can't do right away, if I have the sound in my head, I'll pick up the instrument, and I'll sit there and I'll just noodle until I figure it out. Like, if it's anything with strings, like a guitar or a bass or acoustic or a ukulele, I can figure it out because I know where the notes are. But a harmonica or whatever like that, I'll just sit there and get the correct harmonica, and I'll just sit there until I get what I'm looking for. But on Cherry Red, I kind of, when I first did like the recording of it, I had a lot of stuff going on. It was like a lot busier. Like, it's a peppy song and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I had a lot more instrumentation going on in it. And I'm saying, you know what? Why don't I make it more simple? Like, I got this great driving drum section, but I don't have to put like big giant guitar parts on it and all this stuff. Because at first it was going to be like this hard edged, like I had this like distorted guitars and kind of like more like a hard rock song. And then I started to noodle around with some of my effects and that thing that kind of sounds like a keyboard where the guitar solo is and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really a guitar playing through a harmonizer.
Oh my
So
god.
some people said to me like, "Wow, that's a really good keyboard part." Or that sounds like a Casio keyboard like sound from the '80s. It's got like an '80s sound. So I said, "No, it's a guitar playing through a harmonizer." So what I did was I just kind of created a song, and as I'm going through and I'm creating the parts, because that's the beauty of making my own music. I get to do everything, and sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes it's not so frustrating. But I went through it, and once I found that sound, I said, "That's really cool. That's different than the normal guitar part." And then there's that part where the song opens up, and it's kind of like it goes like did 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 did. Did. I was trying to think of as I was thinking of that song and what the message was about cults and people that just follow the herd. It was supposed to be like SOS, like Morse code.
Morse code.
But when you type out SOS, it didn't exactly work, because I think it's like dot 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 dash 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 dot dot dot. It didn't work. But that was my idea. Okay, it's like a cry for help, and that's supposed to be that part of it. And then the other part of it is going back to like 30, 40 years ago when maybe things were a little bit simpler, and even though you probably had the same brainwashing going on, I just wanted that kind of like an 80s sort of a feel to it. And I wanted to have a lot of energy. Like I didn't want to be sad and morose and all that kind of stuff, because when I first wrote it as an acoustic song, it kind of was. But all of a sudden, I just put a lot of oomph into it, and that became Cherry Red.
Well, and you know what? We need a song like that today. And it's a timeless song, and it's probably going to last forever, and it's going to be current always. And Katy Perry said it best at one of the awards shows when she opened with this song. I can't even remember what the song is now. It's all about coming down from your ivory tower and, finally helping. Because, I mean, a lot of people that, are making it really well in the business, like sit up there and just kind of look down and, oh, well, that's not going to touch me. Well, no, but it's touching your fans, the reason that you're sitting up in the ivory tower. So I'm glad, like when I told you I loved Cherry Red, I got the message. I thought of Waco. I don't know if that's what it originated from, but for some reason that popped in my head. And like all the cults and the religious, it made sense. And I love when people write stuff like that, like, make your own way and, make your own decisions and do the right things. And I love that you did it through music, because I think music is way more powerful than spoken word. So I love it.
Yeah, that one was probably like I'm going to say 3 or 4 when I first wrote it, like I said, back in the fall of 2015, I had about 3 or 4 historical events that fueled the words behind that. And then, like I said, I changed 6 or 8 words because of the past 12 months. So, that was kind of, other than executing the song into what it became, I had the template, which was the words. And, I might have changed some chords here and some stuff there, but it was actually a unique song for me because there's really even though there's a chord music structure written out for it, when I play it, there's no chords because it's all little pieces of the chords. So that's why it sounds somewhat electronic, and I get comments like I didn't know you played keyboard.
Yeah, I thought it was a keyboard. Till just now, I thought it was a keyboard. Well, now I know it's not a keyboard.
It's actually this guitar right here, a Fender Strat playing through a Roland harmonizer device thing.
Okay, you're talking French, but okay. I'm sure the people that
guitar players are going to go, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, now everybody's going to be doing it. Okay, so like you said, now you've revamped that song and you've recorded it, and it's everywhere, and I love it, and it's because I love the message behind it, and I'm all for messages in music that mean, wake up, pull your head out of the sand. Now, before we get to the other song, and I want to talk about the song that you were talking about, because once you get it all done, you can come back on, or we can talk about it now. It's completely up to you. So, because first off, you dealt with virtual bands, which I think a lot of people now in the industry do that. I mean, there's people that I've talked to, one person's in like Italy and one person's in, South Carolina, like you said, and it's just so bizarre. And some of them have never even met, except for like via Skype, and it just blows me away because their music. I mean, I grew up old school, right? Like same as you, where a band got together in a garage and they were all together, and yay if they made it. But yeah, it's so crazy. And thank God you're educated enough to do that, because I like when you're talking about harmonizing and like whatever harmonizer and music. I don't know what you're talking about because I'm not a musician.
But the beauty of making music, though, like, fortunately, I'm good with plugs and stuff like that, and I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's the beauty of making music is that was purely by accident. It wasn't like I knew where that sound was. It was just me sitting there and pushing buttons and saying, I want something different. And there's been times, not only in my own music, but music that I've recorded with the Harm's Way Project, where I'd be recording something, and it could be a guitar piece, it could be a vocal piece, and I'll be going along, and then when I'm sitting there and I'm working with the software and processing it and all that kind of stuff, like I'll do something that's, a lot of people would say it's a mistake, but then when you listen to it, you go like, oh my God, that's so awesome, and then you can't remember what you did. But you got to leave it there because you're going, that's really awesome, and I can't figure out how to do it again, so I'm just leaving it there.
Yeah.
Like I've done that with vocals, I've done it with guitar parts. You know, like there's a song that we have in the Harm's Way Project. I over-recorded something by mistake, and I was like, oh man, I just screwed up all that work. And here, when I played it back, here I was harmonizing with myself, and I didn't even realize it because you're only listening to one track at a time. And I said, oh my God, how did I do that? I just said, you know what? I got to save it because I'm not going to figure out how to do it again. But it was so cool. That's what music is about. It's like, and that's why I like making my original music, or even with the Harm's Way Project, that's original music. It's somebody else's, but it's from a blank sheet of paper. And like I said, it's great to play cover songs, and that's kind of like how you learn to play music, is playing covers of other people's stuff. I would much rather make something from a blank sheet of paper. It's just me.
Well, and I'm glad you do, because your songs are amazing. Now, okay, so let's talk about bands such as the Beatles, Buddy Holly, John Lennon, the Beach Boys, and the famous 60s studio musicians, the Wrecking Crew. So I don't know who knows who the Wrecking Crew is, but I do, and if you don't, look them up. They're all influences in your music, and not only for their artistry, but also the engineering that went into creating their music. And that's what you were just talking about, because they did, especially the Beatles, and when they came out on like the Apple, back then Apple didn't mean iTunes, when they came out on that, they did their own stuff, and I think back then that was unheard of. And I love that you love what they do and everybody else, and now you're doing it. And I cannot believe that. I'm still lost in that's not a keyboard. Keith, you've totally confounded me.
Well, that was the idea. They got to come up with something that was completely different than I'd done before, so it worked.
Yeah, it did. It totally did. Because like I said, I wouldn't have known until you told me. Now, I know you're working on a whole bunch of songs. I know that you've been doing this for a long time, and you have gone and performed live, and like you said, you've done cover, and now you're doing your own. If you had any advice to give a musician that was already out there, or a brand new musician that was just starting, what kind of advice do you think you'd tell them or give them?
There's going to be times when you're like really pumped up and things click. Like sometimes when I'm recording a song, it'll take a ridiculous amount of takes just to get like an acoustic guitar part right. And then there's stuff, and then you're nuts. You're like sweat's running down your face. You're like ready to throw all your stuff out the window, or just go, I don't know, drink coffee all day and watch TV. And there's days you're gonna have things don't work, but then there's days where everything clicks. And I'm like I said, I'm trying not to get too much into this what I'm working on now thing, but the song that I'm working on now, it's like the acoustic. I lay down the drum parts because that's like my bass. That's like the bottom of the house. So if I don't have the drum parts, because there's songs I've written, they're on my Reverb Nation page. I have no drum parts in them at all, and I just use layered acoustic guitars as the rhythm part of it. But for the songs I've been working on lately, I want to have drums. I want to have this driving, hard-hitting type feeling to them. And once I get that foundation done, then I start building the layers. And sometimes I'll just put and it can be a bad take of a particular guitar part, but it's just so I can figure out where the pieces go. But for some reason, this week I laid down the guitar part, but after I had the drums done on the weekend, laid down the acoustic guitar part. I'm like, holy cow! Like I can't find anything wrong with it. At least listening to it for the rest of the week, and then yesterday laying down the bass parts, can't find anything wrong with it. So whether you're doing stuff on your own, you're gonna have those like moments where everything just like works together. And who knows what's gonna happen next week?
Mhm.
You know, when I'm laying down the other stuff, I might be pulling my hair out again. But whether you're doing that kind of stuff or you're performing covers, you're gonna have the same thing. You're gonna have, and sometimes you think it's only you that experiences that, but there's seasoned performers in this area that are internationally known who have that same issue. They'll play someplace, and I'm thinking like everything's great, and they'll have hecklers. People that heckle them, like in the audience. Oh, I don't like that song, and they'll say something that I don't want to repeat, and then they'll be like, oh man, So that kind of stuff everybody struggles with, no matter what level they're at, no matter how many times they played out, no matter if they've just played around the area or around the world or played with all kinds of famous musicians, even though they're like that 30 Feet from Stardom movie.
Yeah.
They've been backup people. A guy that I have a lot of respect for. He's more on the blues side, but he's played with famous jazz and blues people. Because he's been playing for probably 40, 50 years. He posted something on Facebook. He said, "Oh, I'm playing at this place, and there's people, and they're heckling, and talking out loud and all this kind of stuff, and he's going, and he said a bunch of other stuff too. And I just said, man, I said, I don't want to make you feel more worse than you are, but I said, I'm glad to hear you say that, because when I take it personally. And he says, yeah, I take it personally too. But this guy is just, to me, he's like far better than I'll ever be. But everybody has those moments. So if you're starting out or you're playing for a while, you just can't let those, you just got to kind of take it as a lesson and move on. Because you're going to have those nights when everybody's patting you on the back, everybody's screaming your name on social media, taking pictures, recording your stuff, posting it on whatever, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You're going to have those moments. But as a musician, you got to make a decision too. Are you going to play covers your whole life, which a lot of people are perfectly happy with? Because I've had people who I play with and play covers with, and then I'll play my music, my original music, and I'll play it in acoustic fashion. And they're like, man, I really envy you that you can take a sheet of paper, write a bunch of stuff down, figure out music, all this kind of stuff, and then record it and or perform it live. So, some people are going to be always happy with covers. But I think really everybody should at least take a stab at writing some music on their own. Taking some instance in your life, and it could be about love, hate, whatever, the weather, cereal, whatever it is. Just write something. And, not every song is going to be great. And I can remember watching a documentary on a famous band, the Eagles, and they started writing songs, and somebody told them, just keep writing songs, just keep writing songs. Your first songs, and this is when they first started out, before they were even the Eagles. They were kind of their individual parts. And somebody who was already in the industry that kind of was giving them some motivation speech said, just keep writing, because you're going to write a ton of crappy songs. And I've written a ton of crappy songs, and I wrote them down, and I said, oh, this is great. And then 2 weeks later, I look at it and I go, oh my God, I wrote it. Oh, this is horrible. And then you just file it someplace. But the more you write, the easier it gets, and the better story you're trying to tell. Because I wrote some songs that I thought were just like, I thought they were it, man. I thought I was killing it. And then I perform them live, and people would just be sitting there like this, like, oh my God, like, will this guy please stop? But I think that's, and not everybody's comfortable with putting themselves out there, but I think that's part of your journey as a musician. And if you can't find somebody, fortunately, I force myself to do all the parts. But if you can't find somebody to do the other parts that you want, there's plenty of singer-songwriter circles that I see on Facebook where you get together, and it could be 5 people, could be 10 people, could be 2 people, and you just sit there and you go to these singer-songwriter things. You're not performing per se in front of just this small group of people, and you're there saying, hey, I'm working on this song. Tell me what you think. And then people chime in and say, oh yeah, Instead of saying blue, say red. Instead of saying bird, say whatever, eagle or something like that. And you get this input. So there's plenty of resources for free that you can tap into to help you on this stuff, just like you would if you were learning piano. I mean, a lot of people could sit there and learn piano by themselves, I'm sure, but you go to somebody who helps you get to that next level. And I do that. Every so often, I'll just say, man, I got to get with somebody. And it may not even be my style of music. Like this time last year, I said, you know what, I'm going to take some lessons. And I hooked up with this gentleman from the area who's played with a bunch of heavy metal musicians and stuff. And the guy looks like a Viking. I'm serious. He's got a shaved head and that big Viking beard, and he wears the cross of Thor on his thing. And it could be 20 below C, and he'll be outside with a leather vest and the sleeves out and his arms like this. And I said, I'm just going to study with this guy for like 3 or 4 months. And it was all this heavy metal, super fast, Randy Rhoads type stuff. But I said, even though I can't master it, everything contributes to make you a better player. Plus, it gives you a break, and then you can go back to the stuff that you really are more comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, I learned a bunch of stuff. I can't really use it, but what the heck? Now I'm looking at my stuff with fresh eyeballs.
Yeah.
So that's my advice to anybody. I know it was kind of running around in a circle, but
no, it was great advice. It was great advice, and I love that there are people out there that are willing to help other people for free, because there's a lot of them out there that want money, and I think that's wrong, especially for indie musicians, because we know I'm not a musician, but I know you guys don't make a lot of money. Most of you work full time, you know what I mean? So I like that there's stuff for free that you can go to, and it was great advice. Okay, so we've already talked about your song Cherry Red. We know exactly what it's about and how you performed it, and the keyboards and actual guitar. The other song, A Race to the Bottom. Tell me about that one, because that's the other one that I'm going to be putting up along with Cherry Red.
Yeah, actually, that song came about. Actually, my friend, a colleague of mine who lives in the UK, wrote down those thoughts because of Brexit.
Ah.
So he sent them to me. He said, "Hey," he says, "I know you got this can't say the word blank storm going over on your side of the pond. We got the same thing going on over here." He says, "I got this idea of this song. It's A Race to the Bottom." And I said, "Well, send it over to me," and so forth. So this was in October of 2016. So again, maybe it's like fine wines. They kind of got to sit and they ferment, or whiskeys in the big barrels or whatever. I didn't do anything with that thing at all. Now, he's an acoustic player. And he's put out some CDs and stuff. And he's actually the brother of a somewhat famous musician, even though he's actually he's well received in some of the Scandinavian countries. Trevor Hensley, and he said, "Do whatever you want to." So again, time went by. It kind of fermented in the hard drive of my laptop and whatever. And I said, "You know what? After Cherry Red," I said to Trevor, I said, "Remember that thing you wrote down and you sent me a Word document and all that stuff?" I said, "What do you think about doing a song with it now?" He said, "Well, I thought you were going to do one with it." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put it together." And I said, "I'll send it to you. You get first listen to it and whatever." So I worked on it for a couple of weeks. And when I sent it to him, he's like, "Oh my God." He goes, "I never even thought that would turn into that." Because that song, after Cherry Red, with being more of a stripped down 60s approach, there's a lot more stuff going on there. There's like, besides the bass and drum, there's like 4 or 5 different guitars in there. There's clapping. There's all kinds of like background stuff, because I was looking for that, going back to the Wrecking Crew, that wall of sound type thing. Mm-hmm. And when I sent it to him, he was like, "Oh my God, I never imagined that it would go this route." So he was like, "Oh, this is awesome." And because when he wrote it, I think it was like 3 paragraphs or something like that. So I actually expanded the song, because it would have been over in about a minute. Okay. At that kind of tempo.
Uh-huh.
So, because I like songs that are about 3.5, sometimes maybe 4 if you got a good story to tell. But I don't like songs that are extremely short, like Ramones. I mean, I like those songs. I'm talking personally. I don't like to make my music that short, and I don't like making my music really, really long, like 6, 7, 8 minute opuses.
Yeah, like
But,
Supertramp, Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that song again was motivated by current events, and what I did was I took it and I wanted to make it memorable. Like it could have been, it could have been slow, going like, I'm sitting on the fence, kind of like, the old blues kind of guys like Robert Johnson or Blind Lemon Jefferson or somebody. It probably would have worked very well like that too. But I just wanted, because I was looking for something that was hard driven, and I had that repetitive sound in there, like that's one of the guitar parts that kind of mimics the bass. And I had that thought in my head. And going back to one of my favorite bands, the Beatles, there's actually a little segment of a Beatles song that's in there because I kind of like the way that it was like kind of a turnaround to get to the next point. So I kind of mimicked George Harrison, the part that George Harrison played on You Can't Do That. This just little thing that kind of is like a blues turnaround, because You Can't Do That, the Beatles song, is really a blues song.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Beatles, right? And that's where the Beatles really came from. It's like playing old blues covers and Buddy Holly and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that song, you're speaking about your nomination thing, and I was saying that's awesome. About, what is it now? March, April, May. About 3.5 months ago, I'm at a concert, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Are you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I'm going like, person said, "Oh, and then they introduced themselves. Here, we're Facebook friends, but we never met face to face. He says, "Oh, I really love the stuff you're working on." He says, "My daughter, who's like 13 or 14, loves that song. It's A Race to the Bottom. She says it sounds like surfing music." I said, "That's pretty cool, because that's what I was trying to do." I was making this like a fun thing, taking a current event and turn it into something memorable that people would say, "I can't get that song out of my head."
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people say to me, "Man, that clap, how do you do that clapping part?" I said, "That's the magic of electronics."
Yeah.
I mean, that's me sitting there with an electronic device going clap, clap. That's not me going clap, clap, clap. That's an electronic device, and I'm sitting there going boom, 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 like over and over again, so I can line it up with the kick drum and everything. So, and that's the beauty of music. And I recently read an article. It's another beauty of making my own music, because I can do whatever I want. I can make stuff, and it could be electronic device or so forth. I can make that into music. Like on Beat It, there's a segment in Beat It, Michael Jackson's Beat It. It sounds like a drum thing right before the solo starts. It's actually him just beating on a cardboard box.
Oh, wow.
And right before Eddie Van Halen starts the wild guitar solo. But Todd Rundgren, that I'm sure you've heard of.
Yes.
One of the beauties of being in the studio is making the studio do what you want.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? That's what I like doing. That's kind of like what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I figure out stuff and then make those things turn into stuff. So, but going back to It's A Race to the Bottom, that was a fun song to play, because unfortunately, when I was recording that, we were starting to get into the colder weather. So there was a lot of static electricity in the air for some reason in the area that I was recording it in my house here, because I use the whole house as a studio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've recorded vocals in the shower, not with the running, because I wanted that echo part.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I was getting like a lot of static electricity, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of tricky with that song.
Well, it's a great song. I'm going to talk while you're coughing. It's a great song. Both the songs are amazing, and I urge everybody, like you're on Reverb Nation, you are on Spotify, you're on SoundCloud, you are everywhere. Everybody go and check out Keith's music. It is amazing, and just knowing like all the equipment that you use to make the sounds is just like, I was mesmerized, and I'm not a musician, so I can imagine the musicians that are going to be watching this, or the new artists that are be watching this, are going to be going like, "Oh my God, I should try that." So not only are you giving us messages in your songs, which I love and don't ever stop, you're also you just gave us kind of a lesson in, like, just playing around and doing what you can. And, sometimes things are a mistake and sometimes they're not. But thank you so much for coming on my show, Keith. I could talk to you forever. I'm serious. And like I said, I'm not a musician. Half the stuff you're saying is French. But I love learning, even though I'm never going to do it. And I mean, blowing me away when telling me that keyboard that I was positive was a keyboard is a guitar. So thank you once again for coming on my show. Everybody go and check out Keith. You can find him on all social media, especially Twitter and Facebook, right?
Right.
Okay. And once you get your new stuff done, you're more than welcome to come back anytime, sir. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
Even though I got a little choked up at the end.
That's okay. That's okay. At least you get choked up because of water or whatever you're drinking, because some people actually get choked up and cry. And then if they cry, I cry. So then it's like, oh my God, it's just a mess. But anyway, so thank you for coming on. Keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for joining me on Ali's Attic Show. Keep checking my website because you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. Cheers.